Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fool's Troop's first impressions of Persona 3 Reload. We will be covering the game's story up until the first full moon boss fight on May 9th. Spoilers up until that point, but no further. I'm Issei, and I have played every version of Persona 3, including FES, The Journey, and The Answer, and Portable, both the male and the female protagonist route.
I'm Flutterduck, and I have actually played only Portable FEMC, but seen enough of the rest to know my shit.
My name is Loafgator. As similar to Flutter, I actually did do the FEMC route, but I didn't actually touch much of FES or anything to it other than actually the answer. Other than that, yeah.
I'm Rafet, and I have played Persona 3 FES up to getting I-guess, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So with that, we will now be getting into our discussion. So, Persona 3 Reload, has a bit of controversy surrounding some of its changes, including things like voice actors, the new music, and all that stuff. So, actually, why don't we just start there? Thoughts
There was
on...
controversy with the voice actors.
At least for a time, people were initially taken a bit aback by the fact that the voice cast is completely new, at least in English. So
People should just chill.
yeah, maybe. But yeah, overall, I think now that we've had some time to get used to the new VAs, I quite like them.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're doing a good job.
Yeah, same.
It took a little bit for Akihiko, but yes. Continue.
Yeah, Akihiko is still getting a little bit of time to grow on me, but he still does a pretty good job.
Oh, his performance is gorgeous. Like, it doesn't matter if the voice is fit, it's like, oh, so good.
Yeah.
Also, on note of voice actors, thank God all the social links are voiced now.
Yes.
This
all
is true.
of them.
Facts. Yes.
As your resident obsessed fan of social links, these three absolutely know that. It's so good. It's so
Oh, so one thing, I don't know if it's just me, but honestly, the social links with voice acting has just been better an experience to me since it feels like I can read the tone of the characters a lot better.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Characters like Kenji feel a lot better with voice acting.
Mm-hmm. I think the only one that isn't voiced is Hermit, but that makes sense.
That's Hermit, because you're literally reading a chat blog.
See, clearly they should have done the freaking text-to-speech for the voice.
The TikTok text-to-speech voice.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, so overall, I would say that the changes made to stuff like the voice acting was pretty good. Like, if you prefer the original, that's fine. That makes sense, you know. It has been almost 20 years of the same VAs. But I think that's a big reason why they changed it, because, I mean, it's been 20 years. Some of them probably sound a bit different. Although, if you are a fan of the original VAs, some of them do make an appearance in Reload. For example, the Officer Kurosawa is Akihiko's original VA, Liam O'Brien.
Yeah, I think the returning voice actor is, which by the way is also doubles as Mitsuru's original VA, was Tara Platt, which is Elizabeth. It's her actual VA. It's still the same.
Yep, she is the only one that is the same. Yukari's original VA is the antique shop owner.
Oh, that's her? Oh my god, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I will say, Yuri Lowenthal does make an appearance in Reload, but it shows up later in the story than we're going to cover.
It is later, yeah. But you can totally tell too.
Though there is an NPC early on that he voices, just like a police officer, so they do have the original VAs in there. So yeah. Now let's talk about the other thing that people have a lot of thoughts on, the new music.
Oh boy.
Are we talking the remixes or the actual new songs?
In a way, it's both. So people generally are big fans of the new tracks for sure. And I would agree.
Let's introduce it's going down now. The new track where you only hear like the first 10 seconds before the fight's over.
Hey, it's a slightly different version of Baby, 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 Baby.
Yeah.
I know! I'm more meaning the fact of the fight length that you never get to hear the good track unless you are in the special fights. You know the ones they haven't introduced yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, what's it?
Color Your Night?
Yeah, Color Your Night. That song is really nice, and it really gives flavor to the nighttime.
Yeah.
And
It really
yeah,
does add to the ambiance of just like going out, like out into town during
Yeah.
during like the night.
I'm also a big fan of the game's opening song, Full Moon, Full Life.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I think I'm the only one who hasn't watched it, but I'm only doing it after I finish the game. But that's just
Makes
how
sense.
I play it.
Makes sense. Overall, I really like all the new tracks. There isn't any one of them that I'm like, no, I don't really like it. I like all of them. Now, the remixes did take a second for me to, like, catch on to, but when they did, I even like Mass Destruction Reload once I, like...
It's so good.
Yeah.
Honestly, okay, I'll be real. When I initially heard it, I was a bit taken aback, but when I listened to it, especially when there were fights where I had to listen to it for longer, it really grew on me. I think, like, it's
It
one of
did.
those tracks that, like, takes a second to get used to, but when you do, it really hits.
I think it flows better than original Mass Destruction, honestly.
I think especially with the new verse with Lotus Juice, it really goes crazy.
It does, yeah.
Overall, the remixes I quite like. And I'm also a big fan of the new tracks. I think, like, I wouldn't go so far as to say I think they're better than the original in terms of the remixes, but I think they're about as good.
I really like the remix of like a Deep Breath.
Ooh, Deep Breath,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, weird. So yeah, I think overall our feelings on the music and visuals and audio are quite good. One thing I want to actually make a note of with the audio, the sound effects for when you're hitting attacks, very nice.
Yes, it actually is an indicator. I didn't even notice it when you actually brought it up. It's like, actually, yeah, you're right.
And the little slash effect when you like are attacking an enemy in Tartarus.
So good.
Yeah, but now let's talk about the story. There isn't much to talk about, I'm gonna be honest.
Yep.
There's
about
a
this,
lot to
audience.
talk about. We arrive way too late at night because the trains are like in Germany and have delays, which shouldn't be a thing, but here we are, I guess. And we do not know this shit when we walk home, and literally everything is screen tinted, there are coffins everywhere, there's blood everywhere. We don't give a fuck and just walk home.
Look, I don't know what to tell you. We got some bangers in the headphones over here. Like,
Yeah, we got the good bangers. Trust me, when you listen to headphones and know the route, you just go to autopilot half
yeah.
the time.
And then you
I
get
will
pointed with a
say,
gun in your head.
one thing I want to make a note of is that they made the opening section playable. This isn't something I was expecting, and I'm honestly a big fan of it.
You can actually check the coffin.
Yeah, you can. And it's just like, it's a coffin. I'm a big fan of that. It creates a sort of nice ambiance, although I like the animated cutscenes in Reload, don't get me wrong. I think they're nice, and they really hit. But I don't think anything is going to beat the animated cutscenes from FES, TBH.
It's not.
Yeah,
But-
because PS2 just had this really unique style to it.
I will say, the Reload animated scenes are really good. I do wish they were used more often, but they are really nice.
Yeah.
I like the P5 styled like animated cutscenes.
Yeah, but I will say the 3D rendered cutscenes are still very good, and I think it was what Portable was trying to do, but clearly they didn't have the ability to perfectly replicate.
Yeah,
Portable
tried to do it, but Portable was stuck on a PSP.
Yeah, now we've got a big
Yeah.
budget like PS5 PC game. Like they can do this now, and I think with stuff like the Protagonist's Awakening, it's a really solid translation. They clearly did as much as they could to replicate the animated cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, did you know that a lot of the game's lighting and some of the scene composition for cutscenes come from the Persona 3 movies?
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
I saw that online. Yeah, that a lot of it's a combination between FES and the movies.
Yeah. I haven't read the Persona 3 manga. So I can't say if they use anything from the manga version, but they use a lot of stuff from the movies. Honestly, when it comes to story, it's you come to some dorms late at night, there's coffins everywhere, then some kid in a prison jumpsuit is like, sign this.
And because you are on a computer, probably, I mean, you could also play on console, but if you have a keyboard, you can type as much in there as you want, but it won't let you confirm because it still has a character limit.
Wait,
But
can
it
you
is
say
funny
Weedman?
that it, and not only that, but it also allows you to use special characters.
No.
Like, so there is a YouTuber called Jack Banshee who is known to name his characters a normal name but written in hieroglyphics.
God fucking damn it.
And it works in Persona 3 Reload. Like, there's the AE symbol, that's the thing. There is the German double S, that's the thing that you get to type. Anything that is even remotely typed as a letter is valid for
I'm-
your name.
I'm more in the group of just putting it Weedman and not Man.
Understandable.
The Weedman arc is over.
I want to make a note. They made it first name, last name in Reload. Because in the
Which is
original it was
weird.
last name, first name.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't know, P4 does the same thing too. In fact, they actually have to explicitly tell you it's your last name. Otherwise, you do Manweed, like what happens at a Wheat Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely because of us having left PS2 era and therefore them being able to just localize the name entry.
Or just
Yeah.
make it our local English.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought that it was an interesting note. Anyways, after this kid takes whatever you decided to put in, while most people would probably use Makoto Yuki because canonized name, I will simply refer to the protagonist as the protagonist or the hero or whatever, just for the sake of consistency.
Leader, whatever.
His name is Roger Clever.
So true. Anyways, now the scene right after with Yukari and Mitsuru is almost shot for shot the same as the
It
animated
is
cutscene.
literally.
It
I
is
mean,
Yeah.
of course
crazy.
it is. What else would it be? It's still like, yo, Yukari, why do you have a gun? And why do I remember a vision where you try to shoot yourself with it?
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Also, for anybody that didn't believe the in-game disclaimer about all the content warning, I hope they realized that they weren't kidding around with the opening cutscene.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
There's a content warning. That's kind of
Which-
crazy.
I personally believe the content warnings belong on the store page and the box and not in the game because they should be there before you buy the thing and not after you bought the thing. But
that is fair.
the thing is, at least this game doesn't take forever to show why this content warning exists.
I mean, it's basically just a 1 second blurb of like, hey, this game has guns that people point at their heads with.
Very suicide, all these things. Very dangerous topic. Guys, please read this description.
Remember, guys, keep yourself safe.
Keep yourself safe.
Now, from here, it basically plays off almost word for word the same as the original, so there isn't much point in going over anything in explicit detail, because it's, you go to school, you do school things.
We hang out for a few days.
Actually, the most interesting thing is because again, I'm the type of person who goes around the school. There are actually more shots of things like Fuuka and actually like Natsuki, and even kind of referencing that a little bit farther down, which is more important. But that's because, well, that's
Actually,
like the story.
not just that, but I think on the first day you can find almost every social link in the hallway.
You do all of them,
Yeah.
except I think Hierophant.
That also might be a nod to the movies, where I think they do the same thing.
Which is cute, I honestly.
So from here, then, you finish your first day of GeckoCon High School. One thing I want to make a note of. Traversal through GeckoCon feels a lot better in Reload now that, like, the
we
camera
have a
moves
map.
Yeah.
We have a map.
We have a map.
Fast travel, save anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yes,
You're no longer going to be trapped trying to find the faculty building. Like
Yeah.
the faculty room. See, the faculty building was Persona 3's version of finding the Ginza line.
Yeah. See, Golden is the easiest Persona game, not because of its mechanics, but purely because its opening isn't like a labyrinthian maze.
Only issue is that it takes an hour long.
Its opening isn't fucking strange.
Yeah.
Actually, you say it's an hour. See, the hour-long Persona 4 opening is actually meant so it matches up with the other Persona games.
Yeah. No, exactly. The game will force you to take an hour. The other games we'll simply make it take an hour through sheer design. Surely the Persona designers are on something completely different.
For context, everyone. Yes, continue.
So after you go back to the dorm, you then are being spied on by your dorm mates. Well and good. They just have a giant screen.
Surveillance of the dorm.
This is absolutely normal behavior. Please don't question me. Shut up. This is very fucking normal.
Anyway, yeah. So you're just being watched while you sleep. Perfectly good, just normal dorm things. They're like taking track of your vitals and all that. Just the average.
Yeah, they're just recording their first episode of Sleeping with Minato to upload to YouTube.
Exactly. Anyways, so I'm sure there's no character that would just do that on the regular. Anyways, so moving on. This is shortly before you would get access to being awake at night. So yeah, this is also where Akihiko is brought up.
Yeah, here he is, the guy.
Except he's injured, so don't get too used to him. And the reason he's injured is because he tried to fight a boss fight by himself.
He tried to solo on like level 5.
Yeah, no,
he has not the immunities to solo this mess.
Yeah, so obviously, our man gets injured. Rip to a legend. But that means that the dorm is also being attacked, because guess where he ran to? So Yukari wakes up the protag, and they run to the roof, where we get the awesome awakening scene.
Oh, that awakening is so
I will
good.
say, while the animation may not go as crazy, the added scream from the protagonist goes so hard.
It does.
Yeah. Alex Lee.
Yeah, Alex Lee's popped off.
I can't believe Luke Street Fighter popped off.
I think he's like he voiced a character from Demon Slayer, and he's also happened to be my favorite
Yeah,
one.
Zenitsu.
I did not even realize. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was him.
See, someone needs to like mod one of Makoto's voice lines to just be, boom, divorced.
Yeah, and then you get into like the battle tutorial, but we'll save combat for when we get to Tartarus for real.
For real, yeah.
So yeah, you do the combat, and then you fall asleep for a week.
Yeah. Turns out awakening a power within yourself, that awakening a stand that then transforms into a better stand for a short while. Like at level 70 stand, kind of exhausts you for a bit.
I think you wake up at the hospital, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we wake up in the hospital because we were out for a week. And while we were out, we meet the dude. We are stuck in an elevator. What is this, fate? They kinda.
So anyways, we meet a guy in an elevator. He tells us, you have a great responsibility. You must take full responsibility for whatever happens. And it's just like, sure. Man, see, kids, this is why you don't stay up too late at night.
This wouldn't have happened if you took like a train earlier.
Exactly. You then just sign a contract. We do that a lot in this game for some reason.
No, we don't sign another contract.
We
just shows you the contract.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, you signed this, by the way, in your name. It's like, what? Wait, what do you mean? Wait, come back! That's pretty much it.
We wake up in the hospital, and Yukari's like, alright, let me just trauma dump my backstory to you really quickly.
Yeah, let me trauma dump that my parents are dead.
Wait,
is that trauma dumping for real?
Me. I almost died.
You just grab her just like, I almost died, Yukari. And?
Like,
I almost died. I saw a weird kid in a prison jumpsuit, and something that I can only describe as death came out of me after I tried to imitate you, because you were too weak to do it yourself.
Well, actually, there was this child in my brain that said you should keep yourself safe now.
No!
I mean, I guess it makes sense for Yukari to do something like this. She's not exactly the most socially adept, let's say.
Fair, yeah.
So, we go through the most awkward hospital visitation in existence. We then are told about this little organization called SEAS, or the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad. You can tell they came up with the name SEAS first.
Definitely came up with SEAS first.
It's the name, okay?
Yeah, and we are then given access to a gun and are told, okay, you need to go to this giant tower in the middle of the night and fight shadows born from the hearts and minds of humanity using your persona trademark.
Oh yeah, by the way, that the Tartarus.
And all of that happens during a secret hour that most other people don't know exists.
By the way, that Tartarus thing is also your fucking school, by the way.
Yep, Tartarus is your school transformed into a tower to the moon.
Oh, and also BT Dubs, we found this other dude that can also use this persona. He's Sunpei, and he's here now.
Hi.
In other universes and timelines, you had to bring someone to a big revelation about themselves in order to discover their persona. Nah, here at Seas, we just find some guy in front of a convenience store
crying in an alleyway.
I know, that's the best part.
Yeah.
I'm crying, huh?
Yeah, it's like I just found some crying dude, but he had the potential, so it's all good. And it's just like, okay.
So I gave him a gun.
I gave him a gun.
Akihiko, be like, I see you're crying in front of a convenience store. Here's a gun. Use this on yourself.
Now!
If YouTube doesn't know what context is, this is so getting them monetized.
No, we're getting age restricted in 10 seconds.
Of course we are, it's Persona 3!
Alright, but anyways, so yeah, we met this guy a day ago when we were at school, and now he's part of C's. We're really just fast tracking this whole making friends thing.
Yeah, we are really good at it, but they don't count. But he doesn't count because he is a guy.
You're right, but don't worry, they gave men privileges in this game.
Finally.
In any case. We'll get into the social links in just a second. So, first, we must go inside Tartarus, where we'll finally get to talk about gameplay.
Gameplay!
Oh, yeah.
Can I just say, oh man, the Persona 3 Reload gameplay.
Yes.
They were cooking with this. Let's get the obvious part out of the way. Tartarus doesn't look like fucking square blocks for the entire 200 plus floors that it has.
Yeah.
It's just shorter too. Don't forget. You can actually
each floor is shorter.
So
yeah,
a couple things that I made note of. So for the record, I played on merciless mode, so whatever I talk about will be from that perspective. I'm not played on normal or hard or anything.
This footage you're seeing in the background is actually on my playthrough, so it's all normal mode. So
just for context, merciless mode, from what I can tell watching other people's footage and from what I've seen online, is hard mode, but instead of damage received being 50% higher, it's tripled. That appears to be the major changes. I don't think there's anything else. One big thing is that they added a dash button, which is crazy huge for exploration. Just feels better to be able to dash through Tartarus.
Yeah.
But it also tracks shadows, so there's if you wanted to sneak behind enemies, you have to be very careful with how you use dashing.
Until you read the secrets on the dark web.
That's true.
Okay,
then dashing is optimal.
It's 2006 for them.
The floors are shorter. They're also a lot more intricate in their design. They're not just the same blocky design. As well as and what also helps Tartarus is the combat just feels so much better.
Yeah.
So smooth. They also teach you the important mechanics. They actually tell you this is what a repel and null thing is. It's but it's really obvious. Listen, just having that as a marker kind of is good, because maybe what happens if you come back and it's life just likes to be funny, and when I come back it's which one is which?
Also, it's much, much easier to get ambushes on the enemy.
Oh
yeah, because if they spot you, that's not an insta ambush fail. They need to turn around first.
Yeah. So because of that, it doesn't feel as BS, especially if you're playing on harder difficulties. If you get ambushed on merciless mode in early Tartarus, you basically are as good as dead. Also, shifting. That's crazy huge for this game feel. Because having it be so that you can move around your turns using one Moors is great for SP conservation and honestly just strategization. Having characters having Yukari heal more, or having Junpei go for an extra attack to see if you can proc a crit. or even just use Augie to hit more weaknesses can be huge.
Mhm.
Or cooking some stuff late game where you just debuffed the enemy and it's turn 2 and you just hit a weakness, switch to Protect and they're like, muhahaha, charged super optimized persona murder.
Yeah, exactly. Also, shuffle time reload is crazy.
It is
Because
people.
you get to
yes.
pick your thing. And the Arcana cards give you better perks for your entire visit. Some of them being like, you get to pick more things, or here's some cool items. Here's a thing that in late game there's a thing that's like, oh, you can now fuse up to 5 levels higher than you are.
Not just that, I think that, for instance, the cup is basically a better version of P4G's like card things. Everything is actually quite valuable. You also have, like, I think the worst card is, you won't see it later, but there's one that is pretty bad. But even then, if you're trying to do something, you pretty much just like, okay, I need my 30 bar increased. Actually, I would like to have my I want to have more experience. You know, that'd be kind of nice. It just
Yeah.
benefits you. There's no negative side effects at all in any of those cards.
There are
And
also
most
no Reaper cards, so you don't have to be afraid to pick the good thing, and then suddenly death itself chases you through multiple floors.
Oh yeah, by the way, Reaper does not
Yeah.
exist for this entire first week. Just telling you right now. Oh, first week, first full moon boss, as I like to say. But yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
exist for that yet.
Also, can I just say something I really like about shovel time in P3 Reload?
Yes.
So,
A lot of shovel time in P3 Reload has a emphasis on like temporary effects that will make your current Tartarus visit a lot more efficient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
cool
god.
card.
As well as like the only major like permanent buff is like skill cards, but those like are not that major. Like it'll make your current team at par with what is expected.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
trust
like
me,
it takes
there's
the late game to find dying skill cards, because by then, if you don't have dying skills, what were you doing in the velvet room?
yeah.
Overall, Tartarus exploration just feels a lot smoother because everything is sort of pushing you forward. The smaller floors, the faster travel, the
The
travel
rewind
time
feature, I
giving you
forgot
boost.
about that.
Oh yeah, rewind.
I almost forgot because I actually died earlier today. I was like, oh, I'm back.
Okay, before we bring up rewind, can we bring up the Twilight fragments real quick?
Yes,
Oh,
we should probably,
yes.
before I end up forgetting that
Yes.
too. My apologies.
So, for anybody that thought, oh, I can just farm money and stay in Tartarus forever now with the new shuffle time, nope, you can't, because the clock does not accept money anymore. Money
Well,
has
good
become
idea.
a worthless currency in Tartarus, so instead you have to use Twilight fragments to heal.
Thank God. It actually makes it so that you can't just like fucking keep going.
There are still ways to extend the Tartarus visits, but not in early game,
hmm
because you just don't have the tools for it in early game.
hmm Oh yeah, and they removed the tired mechanic. Well, tired
Oh
mechanics.
yeah, no, tiredness already got nerfed in portable, but it's now just gone. Straight up deleted. Doesn't exist. The nurse's office instead gives you a courage boost if you come there after a Tartarus visit.
Yeah, and I said, what were you mentioning about the rewind thing? Because yeah, we were about to
Yeah,
mention that.
so yeah, basically the way rewind works in Persona 3 Reload is it's effectively a autosave that keeps track of every shift in day up to 5 points. So the last evening, last daytime, the day before's evening, day before's daytime, etc. So it's just a nice sort of feature to help with organizing your schedule. If you realize, oh shoot, I should have done this like yesterday, and I can do this today or something like
Yeah.
that. It also prevents soft locks.
Yeah, they mostly did to prevent soft locks,
Yeah,
but also it's
because
just that's a nice quality of life and doesn't make it so you have to make like 50 different like backup saves.
Don't
Yeah.
look at me like that.
The softlock prevention especially was needed because since you can save anywhere now, they needed to make sure that you don't save on a full moon, are too weak to beat it, and are stuck.
Oh yeah, because that totally did not happen to me once.
Granted, this game also does have a difficulty option that just is like win the fight. But still, it's good that they added like the option to just rewind time in case you're not strong enough for the boss fight. You can just go back in time a little bit, go to Tartarus, train up, and then go for it. I will say one thing that I find a bit weird is that the game has what is effectively an autosave system, but it doesn't allow you to use it as an autosave. But regardless, at least you can save anywhere. So if you're like me, you'll just save every like couple days.
Also, continuous that I like to bring up because I had a friend that was really confused with how it works. Should you die anywhere in Tartarus, you have the option to start at the Tartarus entrance. Whenever you enter the Tartarus lobby, the game sets a checkpoint and it will set you to that checkpoint when you start from Tartarus entrance. Of course, when you die to a boss, the retry option is still there, but the Reaper does not count as a boss for this.
No, he does not.
No.
He should.
If you play on Merciless, you are only given an option to go back to title screen if you die. But if you are fighting a boss or like Tartarus mini boss, you will be allowed to retry the fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. Then I gotta play normal, so.
Just a thing to keep in mind. Granted, like, it's really nice to have that retry battle feature and regardless of which difficulty you're on, because it is so frustrating to have to walk all the way back just to like do the fight that you were probably.
Especially when you die to a random Mudo.
Yeah,
Or like,
exactly.
Or it's also just really nice for just doing a fight before like one of the gate bosses in Tartarus.
Just general safety nets that are
Yeah.
just nice. They just they gave you essentially, please do this, but it's ultimately your decision. Please do not screw this up on yourself, though.
Yeah.
And even if they do, it's like, okay, put you back. Try again. Let's try again.
Overall, these are very good quality of life changes. I will say, the one thing I could definitely see being like a sticking point for some people is that this game is definitely easier than FPS by
Absolutely.
a lot.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
I would say that now I played Portable on hard. I would say that Merciless mode is harder than that was, but I would say that it's probably harder on average than Portable was, but is much easier than FES. Though I would argue that FES's difficulty also just came from like factors that weren't related to player ability.
Yes.
Yeah, FES's difficulty comes a lot from the fact that you don't have party control.
Which, by the way, is immediately default when you immediately start PT.
Yes,
Like when you have the party
it
member.
is an option in Reload, but I would advise against it because the AI can't use Shift, which is strange because
The AI wants some Persona 5 logic and
They
worse
don't.
than
it's
that.
actually worse than P5's AI.
Because P5's AI will at least baton pass, if I remember correctly, right?
They will.
How did they mess that up? I know that they already have way less tactics than FES did, which I don't get why, because some of those tactics were actually baller.
Yeah.
If you wanted to run that way. But why the F did you mess up your shifting when you had it in the last main game you made?
It's a bit strange, honestly. But I do open the idea of just having direct control, since it's probably for the best for anyone who actually wants to play Persona 3, because Persona 3 is not only more accessible, pretty much anyone who wants to play, like, oh, I want to try Persona. Persona 3 is available on my Xbox or on a PlayStation 5. I can actually try it, and no offense to FES, not being able to control party members can be very, very infuriating.
Yeah, especially when your party members have a fixed moveset, which they don't anymore. You get to edit it like it was any other party member in any other Persona game. But also, when they have status moves in their moveset and don't know when not to push them.
Status moves have been a lot more viable. I almost forgot to mention that too.
I will say that it isn't quite as extensive as the technical system from Persona 5, but it also feels like statuses are meant to be very, like, they're meant to fulfill a different purpose in Reload, where, say, Freeze is meant to make it easier for crits to land, Paralyze is meant to, like, prevent an enemy from, like, being able to act as easily, etc., etc.
Like in Reload, you status for the status, not because you get a technical off that shit.
Yeah, I will say, I do think technicals made statuses more worthwhile, but they were also, like, basically meant that you could negate a lot of encounters, just because...
Oh, so many encounters.
In here, statuses are something that if you are going for, you are doing it because you want to freeze that enemy or paralyze it or something. You know, I will say, much like every other Persona game, statuses do not work on boss fights. Therefore, investing in them too hard will probably be like lacking return.
So I have shocked like some of the gate bosses.
Oh yeah, okay. So full
Oh,
moon bosses are just immune, but gate bosses will typically be like affected by statuses. I would typically rely on my AI party or not my AI, my party members to go for stuff like that, like because well, they have stuff like freeze and shock boost in their burn sets, so. And I mean, in a way, you have a variation of the technical idea where if you freeze an enemy, you're guaranteed a crit on them on the next hit, as well as them losing any physical resistances that they have.
Guaranteed crit is still good too. Which, by the way, regardless of physic immunities, yes, you can do that. I actually froze a phys immune enemy, and I actually got him to punch the shit out of them. It was great.
yeah. Oh, enemy is frozen. Gun.
You mean Yukari's bow? We don't have guns that we can actually
Yeah,
use.
also, the
Yeah.
return of 3 types of physical attacks. Let's go. Big fan of this.
Yeah.
You also made multiple fist party members. Not a complete waste of space. I am sorry, Yusuke from P5, but Royal deleted your existence once.
Also, it made Counter-Strike legitimately viable, and the fact that counter moves actually have, not the first one, the other ones higher than that actually tell you they do not
Yes,
stack.
this is good.
Oh my fucking god! I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to not notice that, but apparently people try stacking them.
I mean, to be fair, Love, in Persona 4 Golden, you do try to stack them because you don't think that they don't. And
know
in
that I didn't do
Digital
that.
Devil
Yeah.
Saga, they actually stack.
Oh man, that must be horrible for anyone who played that and then went for Persona.
I didn't know that. Then the Robin challenge run happened, and then I know that.
Also, can I just say one thing that we haven't mentioned yet that I love so much is that it felt this feels like the only Persona game where I've used the basic attack.
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
think people
Yeah.
have mentioned that a few times actually.
I think a part of that
because
comes. Oh yeah.
yeah, a part of that comes because the basic attack is a multi-hit for most people, or just scales a lot better than in any other Persona game.
There's also the fact that there's just a lot more things that are weak to physical in this game. Just
Yeah,
because there's
because we have
3.
3 types.
Yeah, sure. Persona 5 had 2 types, but the gun element was fairly special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There weren't very many gun skills in that game, and the main way you'd use it is through your gun move, which most of the time wasn't very strong, and you'd have to give it like status moves to get the most out of it. So here, it's 3 types of physical attacks, but it's like actually for real 3 types of phys attacks.
Yeah, with like actual skills for all of them.
Yeah.
Even late game enemies are still weak to some of those.
Yeah,
It just
and
helps though.
And generally, like, with the shift system, going for crits can give you a huge boon. Also, the first full moon boss fight I thought was really fun.
I panicked.
Oh, not just you, not just you. I am really good. Like Loaf panicking makes sense because Loaf is not that good at the combat side of things because she is social link obsessed.
Help.
Yeah.
Anybody that has seen her Persona 4 spreadsheet knows this.
Yeah.
I'm good at the combat, and I panicked too because the full moon goes as it goes normally in FES. You go to the monorail, you go in, Junpei runs
Junpei
ahead like
becomes
an
a
idiot.
bitch.
The
Yeah.
timer doesn't start yet because the timer starts when you get to the boss fight itself. Because the boss has this handy dandy ability. I think it's Invitation to Chaos, where the monorail starts shaking. Mitsuru says it's sped up, and your timer gets cut in half.
Yeah. No, that was really good. I love that so much.
And it can do this more than once.
I will say, the ads it summons, if you, like, this was the same as in the original, but now that you have shifting, gives you way more ways to play around the ads existing. Because, like, so I would need healing a lot, obviously. So what I would do is I would hit the enemy with an attack from the protagonist that would hit, like, one of the ad's weaknesses, pass to Yukari, have her heal. It'll pass over to her turn again, then I would have her heal again, and then Junpei would go for an attack weakness on someone else, pass back to the protagonist, and go for a super strong attack on the boss itself. Like, these are the kind of strategies you could cook up, but I felt
Yeah.
like it was a fight that like actively encouraged like game knowledge, knowing when you should guard and like trying to pay attention to like sort of the pattern of the boss fight.
Yeah. And that timer will like if you don't or don't have enough DPS to stop it, you will
Yeah, the
you lose.
Yeah.
honestly bold move on Persona 3 for adding a DPS check on the first boss fight.
The first boss. And
To
my
be
thing is,
like, I mean, it's a great filter, I feel, because it's like if you are unable to get like past the first boss, you're going to struggle with the later game.
And
yeah.
even
And-
if continue.
Yeah.
I was just waiting
And
because Flutter
the
else
thing
spoke.
with this DPS check is also that no matter who you are, you will feel panic because the thing is, the 30-minute timer in FES was a non-issue. But when the boss cuts it down to 4-2, then it's an issue no matter who you are.
Yeah.
The-
Oh yeah.
The one thing I will say is that even if you have like a Jack Frost, because it is I think it's Isa
It's
Yes.
it's ice immune.
it's not enough. You actually need the level and the damage. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you have a decent thing to protect yourself.
Yeah, because if you don't have, because that's the other thing. It's like having the Jack Frost makes it so that healing is less of an issue because you don't need to heal the protagonist as much. But you still need the DPS that Junpei and Yukari can bring, and if they are not strong enough, then rip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fight is just really well designed. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of the Matador fight from Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne.
Yeah.
Where it's meant to sort of act as a like, hey, if you can't get through this fight, you ain't getting through the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's
At
a
all.
good test. While Matador, tested your knowledge on buffs and debuffs, and good. You bring in like force resistance or immunity. The full moon fight in P3R, really hammers in like efficiency. It tests your efficiency of like your turn economy.
Yeah, like in general, the amount of like game knowledge you need to bring to the full moon fight in this game necessitates that you have at least a decent understanding of like what kind of personas to make, keeping up with like what level you should be, as well as like understanding the gameplay flow to maximize the most out of your turns. If it was a great fight on Merciless, just because it really made me have to like bring everything that I could in order to win. Like that's what a hard mode should do at the end of the day. And I feel like
Yeah.
that first full moon really did that for me.
I really liked the first full moon fight since Junpei was my main damage dealer, but I also had it so like Makoto was dealing with the ads. And so like, I just had this really good flow. And once I
Yeah.
established that, it was just a clean fight.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get more into the full moon fights when we do our full video on this game. That is most of what I have to say for the gameplay side of things, unless anyone else has any points to bring up.
No, I'm pretty good. Okay.
I have one Tartarus point to bring up.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Remember,
okay.
in origin, in FES and Portable, Tartarus floors reset the moment you leave them. But as Mitsubu states, the thing only resets each night, and now this is a gameplay thing too. So it is entirely possible to finish a part of Tartarus that you explored for whatever reason, teleport back, go through the floors and scan for gold hands in case you ever need money.
That's true. You can do gold hand farming this way. If you want to make the game much easier on yourself, that is one way to do it. It also just makes it easier to go through certain floors if you were like saving Twilight fragments for a chest or something.
Oh yeah, they respawn, so don't worry about it.
Oh
Yeah.
right, we forgot the clock!
Yeah, okay, so healing in this game works a little differently than in FES and Portable. In
I meant
FES,
the other clock.
yeah, but they won't unlock that until way later.
Yeah, it's way
I
later.
know.
Yeah.
You already exist in the party,
yeah.
Fuuka, don't worry.
We have thoughts on that clock. We'll get into that later. There's two major things you can do with Twilight Fragments at the start of the game. One is the healing clock at the base of Tartarus. So with the way that works is you can spend 7 Twilight Fragments on that to fully heal the party. Now, the start of the game, this is a huge investment. 7 does not come easy. But it effectively refreshes your party to continue exploring Tartarus, and if you know how to use it well, this can make it much more feasible to do a Tartarus block in one night. But, you gotta be careful. Don't want to waste too many resources. But the other thing is that there are chests that can only be opened with Twilight Fragments. So you have to decide, do you want to save them for healing, or do you want to use them for these really, really good resources? We're talking strong piece of equipment, high tier skill cards,
Yeah, I think I got Arrow Rain in one of them. I'm not joking.
Yeah, and that's a really strong skill. You will get a lot out of opening those chests, but the more you open, the less you'll have for the opening clock.
Or the boss loot chests.
True.
Oh yes, because some of them are Twilight, and some of them are in fact even Elizabeth requests. But don't worry about that.
Elizabeth will never request something that is on a random floor.
Yeah.
Thank God.
She will not.
Yeah.
Not anymore. And if it is, it's most likely a golden hand, and they will spawn. Don't worry. You can keep trying.
Golden hands are fixed spawns. You can basically just repeat the RNG until you get one. That's not difficult.
Oh, so the game makes it very clear when a floor has a golden hand.
Yeah.
Additionally, the maps don't reset if you cleared it up already. You can go back.
Yeah. So golden hands aren't a big deal. Plus, golden hands give you EXP, unlike in the previous versions.
Right, they give the good EXP. And why they don't give direct money, because nothing in Tartarus gives you direct money other than shuffle time cards. The materials they sell for the good shit.
Yeah, you will get a ton of money from selling gold hand material.
I think even the earliest are 5k each.
Yeah, they are. They're still they're in the thousands, and they're pretty good.
Because of that, money, if you are able to kill gold hands, which have weaknesses for the record, for those of you who don't know. The first golden hands in Tartarus are weak to bash skills. Most golden hands will have a weakness. There are some that don't. Please keep that in mind.
But, yeah, I remember that one.
But for a good while, the golden hands that you'll be encountering throughout Tartarus will have some weakness that are tied to which section you're in. So keep that in mind, and it might just help you get a lot of money real fast. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in Tartarus that's really worth getting into, at least for the early game.
Honestly, I don't have a Tartarus thing, but I would like to put the Velvet Room here.
Yeah.
Because it is the main point where you touch that thing, unless you are optimizing social links with people that play this blind probably are not doing.
Yeah. I was more just thinking before Velvet Room, because once we're done with the Velvet Room, we're probably going to move on to the next point. The Velvet Room is honestly, if you've played Personas 4 and 5, not that different to those games. Hell, if you played a Shin Megami Tensei game, it's not that different to the Cathedral of Shadows.
Yeah.
There's just one thing. Manual triple fusion does not exist anymore.
No.
Which is sad for Persona math, but makes some Personas easier to get. But still sad for Persona math reasons if you wanted to just fuse your way through the entire compendium.
Honestly, I do like that triple fusion isn't a thing anymore. I think it just cleans it up a little bit more if it's just the two.
By a lot.
And
it cleans it up by a lot. I'm only missing the fact that I can't upfuse with any way, shape, or form, because P5 had the treasure demons to handle upfusing.
Yeah. I will say, a lot of the special triple fusions were just moved to special fusions anyways.
Like normal.
Yeah, so I think because of that, it just means that a lot of UI is at the very least a little cleaner. And also, they give you the compendium right at the start of the game. Thank the Lord.
Yeah, you have it. Oh, right, I forgot that wasn't the starting point.
Yeah, because I replaced my Orpheus and P3. Yes, I was that stupid, audience.
I forgot it didn't even was from the start of the... Oh my god, I forgot that part. Oh god.
And it means that, you don't have to do the RNG dance to get the early personas for social links if you care about that. Also, the new fusion accident is so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's ow.
Protag gets wrecked Lamau.
Oh, so you know what's one like fusion feature I wish we got in P3R that
Reverse
desperately
compendium
needs?
fusion.
Yes, compendium fusion.
Yeah, like you have a really good fusion search P5 as P3R, and P5 also had that good fusion search. But SMT5 lets you fuse with your entire compendium, so you can make any demon you want.
It makes
Like the only kind of compendium fusion you get is with special fusions if you have the personas in your compendium.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I'll admit is nice, but it feels like we have such an easy way to update the fusion system because you would still need to pay for the compendium costs, obviously, but it would mean that
Yeah, you still need to pay the thing, but you don't need a calculator to figure out, hey, Elizabeth said I need Siegfried. How in the F do I make him?
By the way, Siegfried with Endure. Side note, that is a quest.
So on the same note, you also don't have to run to the Velvet Room every 2 seconds to get the personas you need for fusion spells anymore. They are just reading from compendium.
Actually, we haven't
Yeah.
talked about social links whatsoever, haven't we?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
we're
say
getting there in
that
a
for
second. I just
now.
wanted to comment on the fact
yeah.
that while P5's Velvet Room was so broken I could snap the game in half, P3 has nothing to snap the game in half with the Velvet Room because it's P3's Velvet Room.
Barring
So
the
it's
DLC.
balanced.
I
Yeah,
think it's barring
Yeah.
the DLC.
You
and
do
hey,
get free skill inheritance though, which is
that
nice.
is true. Although, unless you're doing a special fusion, you cannot inherit the like full skill repertoire of a persona.
I mean, yeah, but it's still nice not
Yeah.
having to reset RNG to get my build to work.
I
Or
only,
that one time I got absorbed wind from Mothman.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I only bring it up because it is another balancing thing of you don't have absolute control over persona skill set unless you're willing to devote resources. So, that's another thing. Now let's talk about social links.
hooray.
Socially? No!
Again, mind you, this is most of the social links you can obtain.
Yeah.
So side note
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and we'll only be talking about like our basic thoughts. We're not going to go in depth on any of them. Just like
Yeah.
let's start
Can I get
with
a universal feature out of the way first though?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
take in P5, when you open the map and press square or X if you're on Xbox, you can see what is in that location. It will also show you every social link that is in the location, whether you have started it or not.
And when you can
Yes.
actually rank it up. Side note, I
That
checked
too.
out with
It shows
Kenji.
that difference too. So you can, without much hassle, know who is available. Given how tight the social link routing is according to reports, that is really good to have a view over.
it even
Yeah.
lets you know which social links you can unlock.
Which is such a fucking importance because if, like, for instance, yes,
It still has the stacking though. That is still a thing, and that is still annoying.
Yeah.
whatever. We can't win all of them, but at least we get some benefits to it. Because honestly, if for instance, if you want to say, "Oh, I want to see who's available today," but it's like, let's say you want to know if Yuko's available, not to mention they could also just text you.
That is true.
You know.
We
But
do
if let's say
have
you don't know that,
phone.
yeah.
I will say those phone messages, especially
funny.
later in the game, start feeling like, what if the protagonist had WhatsApp?
My favorite one is Cause.
Yeah.
Cause's messages
Re,
are
re, 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 re.
It's like he's just responding to us. Cause, stop it.
What if Makoto Yuki had WhatsApp?
The hermit one, whenever the hermit one is there, I'm just like,
It's so funny.
Yeah.
By the way, the biggest benefit, and Flutterhead did mention this, Hermit before apparently just take the entire day. It just takes your
Yeah.
entire
It
day,
took
but not.
it took the entire it took basically like the whole day if I remember correctly.
Like
Yeah,
night
the whole
and
day. Night and late night included. Late night is not a thing anymore, but you don't need it.
Yeah. Basically late night was for those who don't know in P3 FES and P3P late night just allowed you to either sleep early or study for one free academics point.
Yeah.
It was only there because of the wellness system.
Yeah, which now thankfully got removed, and honestly, that's probably for the best. Well, it is worth a challenge. I'll admit that. Sometimes I just want to just not.
So and like they've made up for that they've made up for some of the losses of like points
Mhm.
with sleeping in class increases your courage.
Mhm.
Well,
You
and
can,
of course I say mentioned earlier that you can have one free courage point if you go to the nurse's office after a Tartarus visit, replicating the fact that in P3 FES, you could go to the nurse's office to take shady medication that would have a chance to bring your wellness up to normal.
They replicate that here. You take the medicine and it gives you a courage boost because, like, oh, you feel tired after exploring.
Oh, I actually almost forgot. I actually really like how FES, my apologies, P3R actually outright tells you. I'm not sure if FES and P3P mentioned it, but they actually tell you, by the way, doing social links will totally not link you to other social links, such as Kaz and Yuko, which is, by the way, really nice to have. And side note for causes, originally in FES, I think I'm not sure for portable, you actually could do track or kendo. They just stuck it to track. It's fine. It's
I
the
think-
same
Yeah,
story.
I'm
regardless.
pretty
I think
sure the
swimming
reason-
was also an option.
That too.
in
Yeah.
that.
I'm pretty sure the reason they did that is because they didn't want to re-record a bunch of lines to account for which team you're in.
Or
Fully
Yeah.
understandable, and also it was not needed to separate teams when the separation has no effect.
yeah, plus Kaz's story makes a lot more sense if you do track. It makes so much more sense when you do track.
Yeah.
But as someone who does most of it, it's not that bad. The introductions and everything, they pretty much sound exactly word for word. Again, even though I only did portable, Pediatoshi sounded exactly the same. Otagiri literally did not change at all. They sound the same.
Yeah.
Like terms of text, nothing differed per se. I do note this, as I think they did mention this in their advertisement, or at least fans, and definitely if you've even just glimpsed in the forums. You can reject people now, which is quite nice. For those who don't
Yes.
know, you
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, FES and Portable's mail route 2 was a forced harem when you dared to hang out with girls.
Yeah.
And also, because you can say no to people, or just because the system was stupid in general, jealousy is also gone. So you don't get people being mad at you and requiring multiple day slots to fix the relationship because you dared to talk to a girl.
However,
Yeah. So
Mhm.
so I don't think social links would break, but they would I think they only reverse, because if they
go
broke,
girls and are stuck for a while.
yeah, because breaking is a lot worse, because in FES the punishment for breaking was so cruel.
Yeah.
I do know reversing still exists, but that is for a much later discussion and basically for the future
Yeah.
video.
Now, my thoughts on all the social characters up in the start are the same as the base game. They are perfectly fine.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, Magician is funny, I
I want to
guess.
fuck my teacher.
Yeah.
Early Hermit's pretty good. I like Early Hermit a lot.
Yeah.
The text is so funny. It's
Um,
so fucking
yeah.
funny.
I also think that Strength and Chariot are pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
And the voice acting helps them a lot.
Oh, the
Em-
Hierophant made it so much nicer. You have no idea.
and Emperor was okay.
It's
Yeah.
Odagiri. He's just
Yeah.
Odagiri.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I don't really have any thoughts. We'll get more into them when we go through our full thoughts on some of the social link characters when
Yeah.
we get to the full video, because it makes more sense to cover it there.
Also, I really like how when you pass an exam, you get a bunch of just stat ups. It's nice.
Oh,
That
yeah.
you can also put on your party members, though I never did that, but you can. It's an
Yeah.
option now.
Yeah.
But still, you could act what Mitsuru, who was once the most difficult social link, honestly for me to even get to. Nah, you could just do it.
Oh, so it's a lot easier to raise academics, and generally it's easier to raise your social stats a lot better in Reload, which is one thing I do like.
Oh yeah.
Because-
I don't know if it was an original, but especially for academics, you can just at night go to the strip mall and spend 600 yen on some food and get that 2 academics,
Yeah.
which
Also,
is better than studying.
legit, legit. I feel like social stats is my I have a love hate relationship with
Just so
social
between you and me.
stats. Because I think it's a cool idea, and I do like social stats a lot. It adds some flavor to the game,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's when the system gets in the way, it is so infuriating.
Yeah.
Oh. Now,
And I'm honestly, I think I like reloads the best because it's fairly easy to raise your social stats, and there's only 3 you need to keep track of.
that is
Yeah.
true. I think that's all I wanted to say, anyways, for Mitsuru, because I didn't realize it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you could really just make her. You could
Yeah.
literally just get Empress now. Okay.
Yeah.
Because didn't like P5 have like 5 social stats that you needed to
P4
5
increase?
did as
social
well.
stats, all of them 2-5, and some of them spawned their level 5 roadblocks way too fucking early.
Cries and Max Charm. Cries and Max. I think it's Diligence.
Like it is.
Yeah, but the Max Diligence one though is really late game. Max Charm is way too fucking early.
So, moving on to the rest of the Persona 3 discussion.
Actually, there's one thing that is a change that Reload has that is also social link related, which is actually a really good transition.
Mhm.
So, Persona 3 FES and Portable had. I said already that jealousy got deleted, but jealousy is only a worse punishment for another mechanic it had, the 90-day timer. If you ignored your social links for too long and they weren't level 10 yet, they would reverse because you ignored them for too long. That timer is confirmed dead. I started Hierophant early game and didn't touch them again until like October, and nothing happened.
My fucking god, bruh.
Damn.
Anyway, yeah, let's continue. I say we will be
Yeah,
proceeding somewhere
so
else. Yes.
anyways, yeah, the final thing to note is any changes from original to or slash portable to reload. So anything that's like notable for you guys? I mean, obviously there's the lack of the answer, which supposedly is
Yes.
getting a DLC expansion release, but that has not been
Let's
confirmed by
hope
Atlas.
it's reasonably priced.
Yeah, it has not been confirmed by Atlas at the time of this video's recording, so we
Mm.
will just say it is rumored to exist, but there are files that implicate its existence. There's also the lack of Femsi, which is a tragedy, but I can understand why they might not have been able to include her, considering all of the extra resources that would have needed to go into it. It's not to say it isn't disappointing. Like, I would have liked to see Femsi in Reload,
They
especially
could have
because...
made fancy costume.
yeah, maybe.
People
I
can
guess, yeah.
Or at the very
There
least...
is a
Oh,
a FemC mod that has been honestly really
Quite quick.
impressive. It's
Really
honestly like pretty
Yeah.
impressive. Like doesn't have like custom animations, like custom UI elements.
Oh, no,
Like they
UI. Yes, UI elements, voice actors are already going to be applied. There's a Trello board already provided to it. I cannot provide much more. If you, for a context audience, I'm actually part of the more closer to the modern community, but I lean more to P4. But I obviously overheard things with P3. Like, there's no way I can't just ignore that. So.
And I do follow some people on like Persona Twitter, so that's where I heard like from Mac,
What?
like yeah.
Like Mudkip. Oh, Mudkip.
Yeah, Mudkip. Yeah, Mudkip, because like they've been posting a lot about it, and like it's honestly surprising. I'm so impressed of how quickly they've been able to do it.
Oh yeah, actually, for anyone's sake, I'll post the video that Faz made. I think like literally like today or
Yeah,
hours ago. He literally just posted it.
It was like today. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are very active.
Yeah.
But I am curious about the DLC for that. I do hope they fix other issues regarding the answer, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the issues is already fixed because of the other clock existing.
Realistic.
Difficulty.
Yeah, that and also the lack of certain gameplay features. But regardless, we can save our discussions for the answer and what we would like change in a separate video because I feel like that's its own discussion, to be honest.
Yeah.
And besides, I feel like we should only do it if they ever do outright confirm and the answer existing in Reload.
And before they post, I would laugh.
If tomorrow I wake up and see Atlas releasing like Persona 3, the answer Reload, like I'm gonna like it'll just be like a 30-second recording of me just crying on screen.
Yeah.
It's like God,
the answer Reloaded. Price tag $50.
Yeah, that's right.
You would fucking cry.
I will say, if it was like the answer Reload plus Femc expansion, I would honestly be okay with like 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's basically
Honestly, I hope when they make the answer DLC, it's like 10 to 15.
That would be the
Yeah,
most
maybe
reasonable.
20.
Yeah, 20 is the most I'd be like comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because this has not the legs to stand on that, say, Torna does.
Yeah.
Twice.
Unless they like do some major expanding on it, which I doubt they can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they won't.
Aside from that, any other changes would mostly be like scene specific, which we can save for
Mhm.
later anyways. I think we
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
over most of the major changes that we feel between Reload and the originals. So I guess now we can move on to closing thoughts. Overall, I think that Reload has a great start. The combat feels really good and TARDIS exploration is nice. The fully voice acted socialings just gives them new life. Most of the story scenes are exactly the same as the original, and we haven't gotten to any parts where there's new scenes or new additions to discuss. Overall, big fan of Persona 3 Reload. Can't wait to
Yeah.
talk about it more later.
You just summarized my thoughts right there.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just one tiny thing I need to bring up to anybody playing this game right now. Do not buy weapons yet. At all. Not only do we find good weapons, but there's a reason I say that. The game later gives you an entire weapon set, so buying weapons early game is a scam.
Unless you're
Oh,
being
so,
scammed by Tanaka, but that's
oh,
obvious.
so oh yeah, one thing. Honestly, like I feel Reload just has the best flowing combat. Tartarus feels actually fun to explore, especially with the new combat systems. It just it feels fun grinding in Tartarus.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tartarus, I'm pretty sure you're watching this right now while grinding a Tartarus. Don't worry, I'm probably doing
Yeah.
that too while editing this video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
makes sense.
Something I think something we forgot to mention is actually it's actually kind of good to mention here in the end actually is performance.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, true. So I played the PC release on a 3060 graphics card. And it ran smoothly for me. I played at 60 FPS the whole way through. There were no notable crashes or anything like that, and no frame drops. There were a couple points where the battle transition took a little bit of time, like about 5 to 10 seconds, but that was rare and is pretty minor.
Yeah.
I had no issues on my end.
Neither has mine.
No
And
issues here.
yeah, no issues here. I've been playing on a on a gaming laptop that has an RTX 3050 and it runs at a smooth 120 FPS. And I'm playing on the Xbox Game Pass version of the PC version. And since I also have an Xbox One S, I've also decided that I want to try out some Tartarus grinding specifically for this. And on the Xbox One S, I can't speak on the One X or the Series consoles, but on the One S, there's just generally poor performance within Tartarus.
Dang.
Loading into fights is fine, like the load times in fights, but like there are constant frame drops, and it just feels off. So
Yeah.
if you have a 1S, expect poor performance unless they update it. But generally, Reload performs well and also has a pretty low file size.
For what it is, yeah. I also side note, I run on a RTX 3060 as well, which and I think I have actually a worse processor. It's been doing pretty
Why am I
okay.
the only one that isn't running on a 3060? I run on a 1080 Ti.
It's still good. It's still a really good powerhouse. So again, still
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, and honestly, because of the 1S's performance, I don't think we're gonna get a version of P3 or like many people, like how some people have been wanting a Switch version of
It's
P5.
not
We're
gonna
not gonna
happen.
we're not gonna get that.
No,
Considering
the game
1S's performance.
Yeah, the Switch is already not really super compatible with like PS4 levels at the moment, and if it's struggling to run on previous generation hardware, like struggling to get it to run on that, it is not going to like work out well for the Switch at all. But perhaps on the Switch successor, it will appear.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, according to like reports,
Rumors.
Yeah, rumors. It is stronger than the PlayStation 4 by a small amount, or on the same level, which might make it possible with some optimization. But
Yeah.
again, no confirmations on any of this. This is all just like hope and pray.
Again,
Yeah.
I would laugh the day this happened. As I post this video, it would be the funniest thing in the universe.
To be fair, there is a partner showcase as like on the next day after we record this. So
Yeah,
for all we
Wow.
know, we could see it. Although there is possibly that Shin Megami Tensei 5 re-release coming soon.
Oh,
Honestly,
right, that rumor.
yeah,
So, and hey, you know what? Depending on what news that is, we might be back on the recording booth to discuss it if we end up getting more information on it.
oh god.
Regardless, but that's a story for another day. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But I think that's basically all of our thoughts then.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. In about 1 month's time, we will be going over our thoughts on the full game, where we will be breaking down elements of the entire story, every gameplay mechanic, and the end game and post game.
Yeah.
We will see you then. And in the meantime, may the dark hour not bring you to apathy in the meantime.
Yeah.
Motorcycle special.
We need the views, so please
need
don't
the
get
views.
apathy syndrome.
Yeah, and remember, keep yourself safe.
Keep yourself safe.
And this time for real.
Yeah. Please do.
Drink water, stand up straight, or if you're sitting down, sit up.
Yeah.
like-
do not be in the shrimp position. I
Yeah.
see you there. You're in the
Yeah.
you're in the shrimp position.
Yeah. Make sure to go outside and touch grass. And
Occasionally.
yeah, and live life. You know,
Yeah.
Just take a deep breath.
because yeah, exactly.
What are we doing?
In any case, go do whatever it is you need to do, for we will be preparing for the reload discussion in full later. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.